keep that going, and we'll be good for next week.
Jamie, do we need a motion to accept that verbal report?
I think it's safe to do so if you'd like to, sure, accept that report, even though it's not printed in front of you, that's fine.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Mine doesn't let go. I second it, but my mute is not unmuting.
We're not hearing Commissioner Litz again.
No, yeah, there we go. It doesn't work on my command. But at any rate, I second the motion. Thank you.
Okay, you have your motion, Commissioner Phillips.
She's understanding what. In the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, Commissioner, you can also use your mouse to manually click and unclick the mute button. We have a motion and a second to accept Sallie Neuin's report. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. We'll now accept public comment, and we have 16 attendees. If there's any public comment, this would be the time to provide that.
And they can raise their hand to be heard?
That is correct. We'll move on to Michelle's report from Human Resources. Michelle Edris.
Good morning. Under Resignations and Terminations, Sabrina Jordan, Caseworker 1, resignation effective April 9th. Myrna Garcia, Secretary C, retirement effective May 9th. Robert Harding, Assistant District Attorney, resignation effective March 27th. Joseph Seeger, Network Technician, resignation effective April 7th. Brian Alexander, Full-Time Correctional Officer, resignation effective March 13th. Antonio Cotto, Full-Time Correctional Officer, resignation effective March 27th. Kyle Wine, Full-Time Correctional Officer, resignation effective March 29th. Marquez Santiago, Full-Time Correctional Officer, resignation effective March 20th. And Yuriali Gonzalez, Full-Time Developmental Assistant, resignation effective March 14th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Thank you, Michelle. Now, Jamie, we'll move on to you.
Unmute Jamie.
There we go. We have a pretty good representation from the media, by the way, and several department heads, it looks like, who are signed on here. I see, looks like Levtown's here and Lebanon Daily News. And,
Oh, good.
Looks like we've got some elected officials. Carol Davies is here. There's Brian Craig, Barb Smith, Prathana Terry, the sheriff's on. Just wanted to mention those. The one item I have for action for you was going to originally take place at the March 19th meeting, which was postponed, but it is a grant application to the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, the Commonwealth, for Lebanon Valley Rail Trail Phase 1 of the Wangert Memorial Park. And I've been able to email each of you some information on that, in terms of the costs and some of the scope of the project. The total cost of the project for Phase 1 is $728,500, half of which is being requested from the grant. There is no county match being requested to add to that. They have been able to put together enough sources in order to match it and and request the grant. This action today is just requesting a letter in place of a grant application for now. DCNR's deadline was to be, I think, either by now or I think it was late March. They've extended that under the circumstances, and they've allowed applicants to simply submit a letter, sort of like a letter of interest saying, in lieu of a grant application, we're sending a letter to hold our place in line. And then when we're able, the entire grant application can be signed, sealed, and so on and presented. So hopefully you have enough information on it at this point to take action on the letter to be sent on to DCNR.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter for the grant for the Wangert Memorial Park.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the letter of interest. And any questions beyond what Jamie has given? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, great. That's the only action item I have. It's just been so, we've been dealing with just departments getting themselves up and running in such a different manner, and that most of the action items that you typically may have in front of you just aren't materializing right now. The only other thing that I would raise to you that you may want to discuss or give your thoughts on, and I'd ask for Dave Warner and Sallie Neuin to both chime in on this a little bit if they want to provide some information, is the question that has come up for, I think, almost every county, and that being the discount period and penalty period for the payment of county real estate taxes and municipal real estate taxes, although it appears as though that's going to be a decision for the municipalities to make individually. Currently, the discount period for county taxes is a 2% discount from March 1 to April 30, a flat period from May 1 to June 30, and then July 1, a 10% penalty goes into effect into the end of the year. Adams County has sort of led the pack. They were early on the first ones to have a resolution drafted to change those parameters. And from what I understand, and here's where maybe I'll let Solicitor Warner chime in, you can't change necessarily the deadlines, but you can change the amount of you can change the percentage that is imposed when those deadlines arrive. So Dave, if you don't mind just maybe giving a little more explanation.
Yeah, that's correct. Other counties have already taken the steps to move or to change the penalty period or the discount period and extend it out. There is no uniformity at this point, but it's been pretty widely accepted amongst the other solicitors that this is something that can be done.
And Sallie Neuin, Treasurer Neuin, has already emailed out to the municipalities the concept that the information that you would be discussing this at your meeting and considering it and so on. It seems to me that each of them would have to act individually to do that, because we can't establish the parameters for their tax payments, although we do the collection. So it would certainly, if the commissioners are going to enact something like this, it would be very helpful if everyone across the board were consistent, so that the collection would be consistent and not a mixed bag of sorts. Do you know about the municipalities, Dave?
No, I've heard nothing from the municipalities, but I would suggest just on our level that Jamie maybe communicates, if the commissioners are inclined to move forward with this, that Jamie communicates with his contacts as the township managers and discusses a consistent approach to this. And we could provide them then with our resolution to use as a draft resolution, so that we're all enacting presumably the same language and the same dates, same deadlines. So there's the most amount of consistency possible for the taxpayers.
Makes sense.
Dave, I have already contacted the municipalities that we collect for. I'm waiting to hear back from some of them. Some of them, of course, do agree with changing it, and I don't think there'll be a problem. I have not heard from all of them yet, definitely, but once we have our resolution, it may be helpful to pass that on to the municipalities if they so would like it.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Dave, do you want to,
Okay.
or Dave, do you want to just talk a little about what Adams County has done so far? I think the resolution circulated, but the parameters that what they've done with their penalty period and their discounting.
I'd have to double check their date, but I believe they've moved it out to August. I don't have it right in front of me, Jamie, but I believe they extended it out to August at this time. I guess everyone's, still sort of up in the air about how far to go with this and what's the economic situation going to look like and, what's a reasonable period of time. But we could certainly use our discretion. There's no consistency that I'm picking up statewide about a date to use. So we can pick whatever date the commissioners prefer. Maybe we communicate that with some direction to the municipalities as well. I don't know if we want to seek their input or just kind of give them the direction we're going. But we can pick whatever date you prefer at this point.
Any more discussion on that? I mean, if it's the pleasure of the commissioners to consider the dates, and then we'll put a resolution together that we can share with the municipalities. Does that sound like a plan?
It does. I think the August suggestion is a good one. 4 months is reasonable till people get back on their feet. And if the experts are right, their predictions are that by August we should be out of this thing. So I don't have a crystal ball, but it sounds reasonable.
I'm not under the impression we were going to discuss it right now, but rather than just getting some more data together so that we can make an informed decision, I think that's the way we'd want to go.
Yes.
You're just looking for a consensus now, Chairman.
Yeah, that's correct, Bill.
And there are two things you need to consider: is if you want the discount period to run out longer, and then the penalty period, how much of it how much of a penalty and when. I think conceptually you could have the penalty. You could do the penalty later on. You could go ahead and extend the discount for now by one resolution, and then prior to July 1st, take action on a penalty period resolution. Is that fair, Dave?
Yeah, I think we could. Again, Adams County's draft, which is really just that, but a draft, combined them, and I think did both at the same time. But we could certainly do whichever.
I like the idea of waiting.
I think their net period went out to like 10/31, if I looked at it correctly. And the discount, I was thinking 6/30, but maybe they did have 8/30. So I'd have to just relook at it.
Okay. Do you want to, at this point, decide on a discount period deadline, and we can go ahead and draft that for the next meeting for action then, and have it in front of you to review and so on, and address the penalty later on? Or you want to go ahead and do Adams County? I do think Adams County did a 10/31 for the penalty. It goes on November 1st, so I'll leave it up to you.
And what was their discount date?
Was it August 31?
I'm desperately trying to bring it up here while we're talking.
Yeah, I'm doing the same.
Okay, I've got it here. they are, a tax payment shall be considered late if not paid within 4 months of the taxable year. All late taxable payments received by October 31st shall be assessed a penalty of 0%. So that's what they did. They didn't change the deadline, they changed the percentage. After October 31st shall be assessed a penalty of 10%. So that effectively moved the penalty from July 1 to October 31st. And then they did June 30th for the discount. And so it's basically its discount period goes to June 30. Flat period goes to October 31st. That's with no discount, and then after October 31st, it's 10%. And that's in comparison to the usual flat period going from May 1 to June 30, that it'll go to October 31st. Sorry if I mixed all that up a little bit, but I hope you get that.
Are we prepared then to have a motion and a second to adopt that model?
I thought we were going to have it drafted first so we could read it.
Yeah, I don't really need a formal vote at this time. If that's the commissioner's direction, I'll prepare the draft resolution for discussion and consideration at the next meeting.
But are the commissioners, inclined to follow that model?
Yes.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
All right, Dave, you have your marching orders there. Thank you.
Understood. Thanks.
Jamie?
Bob, Dab, could you go over, for the people who've joined us maybe in the last 15 minutes here, could you just go over the procedure for any participants? I think what we'll probably do next here is go into some updates from the Emergency Services Department on PPE donations and the EOC status and all that, but maybe just for everyone who's joined recently, how they might be able to raise their hand or participate in the public comment period when the chairman opens that.
Yeah, just a reminder to everybody that this meeting is being recorded and will become part of public record. If you have a question, please use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen. And when it's appropriate, the chair will open your microphone up for comment. Just to do a quick update on Department of Emergency Services, excuse me, the EOC is still activated at level 3 activation during business hours. The EOC is seeing a significant amount of volume, mainly in information that we're trying to pull together and redistribute in a usable way to the public safety community as well as nursing homes and hospitals. 911 Center at this point is still consistent call volume wise. We haven't seen any significant upticks in any specific areas. Today, as of yesterday, actually, there are 36 positive cases in Lebanon County. Still no deaths. The number's still going up, but I think that the actions that we have taken as a county and that the state has taken, in my opinion, it's certainly slowing things down. That's how we're going to get through this. So that's an excellent thing to see, that those numbers are not climbing as steeply as what they were, at least locally for us.
Bob, I had 2 questions posed to me this morning from people. The one was, what is our bed capacity in Lebanon County? And the second one is, how many respirators do we have?
I don't have an answer on the respirators. The bed capacity, there are different types of beds. Good Samaritan Hospital, I believe, has 18 ICU beds that they are working on doubling that capacity. I could be wrong there, so please don't quote me on that. But I know they're working on something to increase that capacity. I'm not sure how many the VA has, but I can get those numbers.
People are asking that so they just have a handle on what's going on. And then the other, it's not really a question, but another lady reached out and said that the Civil Air Patrol, Lebanon County Composite Squadron number 307, are trained in disaster preparedness and other tasks, and they'd be happy to help with anything anyone needs. So whether it's the county per se or even the hospital, they're willing to do just about anything. The Charlene Stout is the Personal and Health Services Officer, and Cadet Commander First Lieutenant is Kyra Leeper. So they are at your service. I can put you in contact with them if you or someone else needs that information.
I appreciate that. If you could email me their contact info, I'll make sure the EOC has it as a resource.
Surely.
And just to finish commenting about beds, if this virus were to continue exponentially, the reality is there won't be enough beds, and that's not a local thing, that's not a state thing, that's a national thing. And that's the goal we're trying to achieve with the stay-at-home orders and with the social distancing, is to make sure that we don't run out of beds. We just need to make sure that not everybody's sick at the same time. So we are doing everything we can to prepare for that. We're working with health systems, we're making sure they have the resources they need. To continue down some actions the department's taking. Level 3 activation, like I said, that information coming in, we're disseminating information to first responders. Another piece that we're handling right now is resource requests. There isn't an abundance of them outside of the PPE world, but we're starting to see some additional requests there as well. PPE is still a significant problem for us, PPE being personal protective equipment. That includes masks, gowns, gloves, the supplies that first responders and hospital workers need to be able to protect themselves from this virus and treat those who are ill.
Are any masks being used at the prison?
I don't know. Okay. But we are collecting masks, cleaning supplies, gowns, any sort of PPE that we can use. We're accepting donations, and to date we've actually gotten a considerable amount. We've received 2 packs of wet wipes, 12 bars of soap, 5 bottles of hand soap, 300 surgical masks, 62 N95 masks, 6 boxes of extra large gloves, 2 boxes of large gloves, 14 boxes of medium gloves, and 9 boxes of one size fits all. That type of equipment is very useful. That's going to make a real impact to those who are on the front lines, and I can't thank the community enough for stepping up and giving that equipment to us.
That's great. Thank you, everyone.
One area that we are focusing on and have a lot of concern, just for everybody to be aware of, is extended care facilities. It's no secret that this virus, when it gets into an extended care facility, being a nursing home or skilled care, it is extremely dangerous. And we're working with those facilities to try and make sure that they have the equipment they need as well. The state is also starting to supply them equipment through us and through other means. So we're moving forward in that direction. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Bob.
Jamie, anything else?
Jamie,
if you'd like,
can I go back to Sallie Neuin? One of the questions that I got from 2 different people is that they did not receive their tax bill. How would they go about getting the bill mailed to them at this point? Is an email to Sallie sufficient?
Yeah, that's fine. You can email it to me and I'll pass it on.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
I would say if they just go to the county website, go to the Treasurer's Department page, they'll find an email there.
Yeah. snewen@lebcounty.org. County CNTY.
I'd like to, follow up on Bob's offer, Bob Dowd, as far as anyone from the participant or attendee area that would like to have a comment or a question. This would be a time to present that. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for attending the meeting this morning, and especially all our employees who have, been so, they're heroes out there on all levels, but our employees have done a wonderful job of their unique challenges to provide the vital services that keep our county going during this time. So we thank them, and of course the frontline medical folks that are need our prayers, and just keep that the space between us and all the things that we're told to do to try to slow the spread and save lives. So with that, we'll seek a motion to adjourn unless there are other comments that anyone would like to make in closing.
I'd like to make a comment if you don't mind. I think that we all live here in this community, and we are working together, and we have to continue to do that. We have to take care of each other, and for everyone on the front lines, you're all our heroes, and we want to say thank you for doing what you do, whether you're a fireman, on the ambulance crew, and the 911 center answering calls, the doctors and nurses, obviously, the dentists that doing emergency surgery. Everyone deserves our kudos and thanks. And for the people donating supplies, God bless you all.
Commissioner, maybe I could just give a couple of updates on some departments. One that was already, there was a question on about the jail. My understanding is that they're not utilizing any of their masks at this point until they have a confirmed case there. Now, I can't speak for Prime Care Medical. They might be taking different precautions. But for the most part, our departments are really doing well. The human services, social services departments, children and youth, aging, mental health, drug and alcohol, and so on, are working very closely with the state. They're operating on a minimal crew. They're rotating, so we do have a lot of different employees taking on their shifts and their roles. When we first started off about 2 weeks ago with closure of the courthouse and the satellite offices and so on, it's a little bit of a rough start establishing communications and forwarding calls and so on. But I think for the most part, the social services, human services are really, really meeting the need. The jail, same. Had very few issues going on at the jail. The population is down, as some might expect. We have fewer people coming through intake than we do going out on their release date. So as of earlier this week, last I knew, the population was about 361, which is probably about a 25 or 30 year low at this point. Now that is also attributable to some of the programs over the last several years that have been put into effect, like the Day Reporting Center and so on. But we have seen a small decrease each week during this COVID crisis, just because activity in general is down. And I think Bob Dowd could probably speak to that with the 911 calls. I know they're getting a volume maybe related to complaints and questions about the virus, but typical calls, fire, police, that sort of thing, it seems to me, is down. So I think that's contributing to the prison's population. Row officers on the ground first and second floors are all doing their part. The court is functioning in an emergency capacity when they have protection from abuse hearings, emergency custody hearings, that sort of thing. They're going into action. That seems to be happening maybe, up 3 to 5 times a week, it seems to me. So the Pathonetary's office needs to be a part of that. Sometimes the Register of Wills and some others. The Sheriff's Office has been standing guard, literally and figuratively, at the courthouse and providing a way to interact with any of those people who need to come to the courthouse and have an emergency court proceeding. They're able to give them access and so on. So overall, things are really going smoothly at the moment. It took a little bit to get our legs, but the number of crises has gone down. It's really been nice to see.
Thanks,
And
Jamie.
I might add that people should make sure that they're checking out the website on a regular basis, because we do put out press releases as things change, and this is a very fluid situation we're facing. We don't know where it's going, so we do have updates from time to time through Bob Dowd's office or through the commissioners, and so please avail yourself of the website to keep track of where we are at any given time.
And if I could, I certainly don't want to miss the opportunity, as has already been said by my colleagues, to thank in particular our employees and the folks that are directly associated with the county for during this this catastrophe to have stepped up and really done remarkably in response to this virus. And also, of course, as Commissioner Litz said, certainly all of the support personnel across the county to continue to provide the services, from, you know, even things like the folks picking up the trash. You know, we don't think about those kind of things, but they're still out there doing their job, and each one of those jobs is equally as important. So unless there's something else, Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to offer a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second, and we have just the reminder for all our Lebanon Countyans to please cooperate with everything we can do to slow the spread. And we thank you and your families for all the sacrifices you're making as we go through this. We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.